Are you wanting to create some Christmas decor, but it seems like those $5 projects turn into 10 or 15 or even $20? Well, you're in luck because today I'm going to show you 6 different projects that you can make for $3 or less or even free. Hi, my name is Leslie and welcome to Happy Tuesday, where we do crafts and DIYs and home decor and more. If you stay to the very end, I'm going to show you a secret surprise about what we're going to be doing for one of the projects next week. So stay tuned. And let's get started.
Let's start with project number 1. I just love this so much, and it's such a cute centerpiece. So I used this little pig with the bird on it from Dollar Tree, this little birdhouse, and this large wood round that my husband cut for me. You can purchase these, but if you can find a place to get one made, even cheaper. So the bird was a little funky colored, so I first took some gold rub and buff and I put it on the tail, especially the little ribs, and I also added some of that rub and buff to the beak, where you'll see here, and it just gives it a little bit more upscale look. Now the other red color was still a little too stark for me too, so I took some of my muted color, starting with the antique wax, and just added it on there a little bit at a time until I decided that the bird had more of a rustic feel and the color was more of a muted red. Once I got that bird looking the way I wanted it to, I took my antique wax by Waverly and my baby wipe and put a nice little coat all over this birdhouse until it was the color that I wanted and it was completely colored. Then I took 2 different colors of red. I took the crimson by Waverly chalk paint and I took an acrylic Christmas red. I don't remember what the brand was, and I mixed them together and I painted that on the roof, and then I added a little bit of antique wax and a little bit of white chalk paint to give it kind of a rustic, aged birdhouse kind of look, and just kept painting on colors, mixing the white and the antique wax until I got it looking exactly the way I wanted it. So here you are all the way around, and it looks like a nice rustic up birdhouse. Then I took this fabric paint and I put it all around the rooftop and then tapped it down to make it look a little bit more like snow falling, but I wasn't really completely happy with that. So I took some of the Dollar Tree snow and I added it along the bottom edge, and then took some Mod Podge and put it on the top of the roof and added a little bit of the snow on there, and now it looks like a snowy rustic birdhouse. And then I took these white Christmas florals from the Dollar Tree and I cut a few stems and folded down the bottom so that I could make them stand up, and hot glued them to my wood round around where I wanted that birdhouse to sit. And then I started adding the green florals around it. I have some little picks from Dollar Tree. I have some stuff left over in my stash from Christmas last year. And I just kept adding that around the birdhouse until I got the look I wanted. And after I had everything set down, then I glued the birdhouse and the bird and then got started on my bow. Now you've seen me do this bow technique a couple of times. I cut these lengths of this 2.5-inch ribbon to 16 inches each and folded them in half. Now this is wired ribbon. Then I took 4 inches and created a little loop and crisscrossed them on top of each other and put the whole bow together and then secured it with a tie, and I dovetailed the edges together, and then I glued this to the side, and voila, here we are. What a cute centerpiece. I love it, and I hope you love it too. Now we are ready to move on into project number 2, and this is such a cute rustic piece. I took a canvas that I had sitting in my craft room and some Spanish moss from Dollar Tree. Then I just picked up some things I had hanging around my Christmas decor stash to decorate this tree with. You can use whatever you have. I took the staples off of the canvas frame, and then I cut this canvas around the edges where it was attached to that frame so that I could attach it onto the back side. And then I am going to take my Antique Wax by Waverly and give that frame a nice good coat of stain. I love the Antique Wax because it dries so quickly, and it also doesn't take very long to apply, and there is no odor to it, unlike stain. Once that was all dry, I took my electric staple gun. I love, love, love this so much. And I set staples around the edge of the back side with that white part of the canvas facing forward. After the canvas is all nice and secure, I'm going to take this star from a package I bought at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to give it a real quick coat of white chalk paint. This one's by Folk Art. And get the edges just a little bit, and the inside, not a full thick covering, but just enough to give it some color. And then I am going to get an extra star out of the package to use as a guide for where I am going to draw my tree on here. Now I use this little piece of twig that I brought in from outside as kind of my base. And I'm going to take a pencil and draw a little triangle Christmas tree shape on here. And that will be where I am going to glue down that Spanish moss. As you can see there, I was having a little bit of trouble getting the glue out of my glue gun. I had left it plugged in for too long and it got a little stuck, but I'm just putting a little glue on and then adding a little bit of Spanish moss until I get all thick and nice and covered the way I want it covered, and get it all tacked in there nice and good. And then I'm going to take a pair of scissors and give it a little bit of haircut around the edges to give it just a cleaner Christmas tree look. And then I am going to glue one star on top of the other star, and then I am going to take some of this double-sided foam tape to give it a little bit of extra rise off the top of that canvas so that it looks more like it's attached to this Christmas tree. I didn't like the way the white on the white looked, so I took my brown ink pad and rustic up the edges a little bit. Got that stuck down my little wooden piece with some hot glue, and then I just took some embellishments that I had on hand and added them to the tree to make it look like little ornament balls, and then this project is complete. And let's run off into project number 3. This is super easy. You just need some heavy gauge floral wire, or wire you can buy at Home Depot, and some beads. And I used this package of beads I bought on clearance. It had small, medium, and large beads. So I put the large beads at the bottom, medium towards the middle, and the smaller beads at the top. And then I wrapped it around this cone that I bought at Dollar Tree just to give it the shape of a Christmas tree and make it the way I wanted it. And then I took one of these stars that I got at Dollar Tree and glued it onto the top, and that's the end of this project.
If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell if you want to be notified next time I upload a video.
Project number 4 is so cute and rustic. I just took a piece of board that I already had and cut it to the size that I wanted, and then some twigs, a little craft tag, and this little bell that I got from Dollar Tree, and I covered it with a little bit of Mod Podge and then sprinkled some cinnamon on it, and then another little coat of Mod Podge and another little coat of cinnamon until I got it covered just the way I wanted, and it made it this rustic kind of look. And then I took the twigs from outside and I arranged them in order of thickness to make it look like a Christmas tree, and then I will cut them down to size so that it gets that Christmas tree shape. And once that is done, then we will start preparing our board. The board that I'm using is just an old piece of barnwood, but you can use any board that you have available to you. And once I had that all lined out, then I'm going to take this apple barrel navy paint, and I'm going to paint the top 3/4 of this board this navy color, and then I will paint the last little quarter with some white chalk paint to give it a snow look. Once I have that looking just the way I want it, then I'm going to take the end of my paintbrush and some white chalk paint, and I'm going to start painting on some larger stars. And when I have all the larger stars that I want, then I'm going to take this fan brush and a little bit of water and make it sparkly stars. Then I'm going to rustic up my star with my brown ink pad, and once I have that done, then I'm going to cut my little piece of tag to the size that I want, and I am going to take that piece and fold it up a little bit, give it a little crinkly look, and add some of that brown ink from my ink pad, give it a nice little rustic look. And then I am going to take a superfine Sharpie marker, and I am going to write on here Winter Wonderland, which I guess I must have cropped out. Oops. And then I'm going to take my hot glue and I'm going to glue on those Christmas tree pieces, giving them a little bit of separation between each piece. And as you'll notice here, as the pieces got smaller, the hot glue actually started drying before I got it on there. So you'll notice I have to take a few of them off and pick the glue off, and then I ended up putting those runs of glue directly onto the wood and just putting the stick part on top of it. When I got the last twig placed, then I cleaned up all the little pieces of hot glue and made sure that we didn't have any strings, and I glued my star to the top. Then I'm going to take some twine that I bought at Dollar Tree, and I am going to wrap it around the top quarter of the wood piece and give it a nice little look. I'll cut some long tails and then tie it into a little shoestring bow. Once that is complete, I will add my little bell on and my winter wonderland and give my little tails a trim, and this will be complete. I think it just turned out so cute and super cheap and easy. And it's time to move into project number 5. This was a learning experience, to say the least. So originally I thought I could do these little trees on these foam pieces that I bought at Dollar Tree, and I bought the little green riser to make one taller than the other, but I didn't show it on camera. That was an epic fail. So then I took some of this inside tube from a roll of wrapping paper, and I cut out a square and rolled it into a cone, and that is what I'm going to use to complete this string project, to make the string tree. Now, as I am doing this, I had to learn a few things. One, how to roll this to a proper tube shape. Two, some not things to do, like how to keep the plastic wrap from sticking to the inside. Patience, again, not my biggest virtue, so I had to figure out how to fix my tree after I tore it all apart trying to get it off. But I'm going to take these paper tubes and I'm going to wrap them in saran wrap, because the hope is that once the Mod Podge dries from the string, that I can then just slide it off. But you'll notice that didn't quite work the way I had hoped it would. So we're going to watch the process and see how this goes, and get this plastic wrap around this paper tube, and then we will take some of that string. I don't even remember where I got that string. It's kind of a fine, it's not really macrame cord, it's a cotton string. I've had it a long time, so again, not quite sure where I got it. but I'm sure you can find it at any craft store. So I'm going to take just a dab of Mod Podge and stick it on there so that I have somewhere to get started with, and then I'm just going to wrap that string around and then put Mod Podge on as I go to make the string stick. And you don't want the string too tight on this, because I'm going to put some little tea lights, the electric ones that you can buy at Dollar Tree. I'm going to put some little tea lights up underneath it to give it a kind of a Christmas glow. So we're going to wrap and Mod Podge and wrap and Mod Podge. And on the bigger Christmas tree, I think I wrapped the whole thing and then tried to douse it in Mod Podge. That didn't work out as well as the smaller tree, but it worked out just fine. Once I have both of these done and I'm letting them dry, then I am going to take that foam piece with a little riser on it and some fluffy yarn that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to wrap that and make a different kind of Christmas tree. Before I start wrapping, I'm going to give it a little bit of hot glue right there on that foam to give me a place to start. And I decided to wrap the green bottom first because I figured since it was green and I didn't spray paint it white that it was going to need more than one covering of yarn to cover all that green up. So I made sure that I rolled some and then added some hot glue and then rolled some more until I get all the way to the top of this. And then you'll see I took a little bit of brown paper and made a tip top to the cone. And look how cute all three of these turned out. Now here's where you're going to see the nice little fun painting job. I took some moss colored paint by Waverly and painted the smaller one. And then on the larger one, I took that same moss colored paint and added a little bit of white to it to make it a little bit lighter of a shade, and painted that all over the large one. Now this is where I probably should have let that paint dry a little bit more. The cone slides out super easy, but in that tall one, the saran wrap got stuck up at the top and I ended up having to pick and poke and prod and do all kinds of fun stuff to get it out. But the end product is beautiful. And now on to the very last project, project number 6. And this is my absolute favorite. He is so cute. So I just took some sticks of various different sizes out of my yard and I cut them to size, and I have those measurements here to the left for you. Each of the pieces that was going to connect to another piece, I actually cut at an angle so that I could make it fit in the way that I wanted it to look, and I used my miter shears to do that and then just glued all the pieces together. I use these little dots from paper crafting from Hobby Lobby to make my eyes, but you could make them with just dots of paint marker or paint if you wanted to. You wouldn't need to use these stickers at all, which would make the project free. The measurements that I gave you make this little small tabletop one, which would be perfect for a tier tray, but you could make the pieces even larger and make it big enough to sit by your fireplace if you wanted, or outdoors by your front door as a welcoming reindeer. You'll notice that I keep fudging with it, trimming and applying and trimming and applying, because I didn't have measurements to go with the project. I just kind of guessed upon my first cut, but when I gave you the measurements, that was actually measured after I completed the project so that you have the exact measurements for what I used. Now, when you pick the reindeer pieces, you want to make sure that they have little extra pieces around them that make it look like reindeer antlers. Now, I used regular hot glue, but it might have stuck better the first time had I used wood hot glue or just used wood glue and a combination of wood hot glue. But for all the little back and forth and glue and re-glue, I just think he turned out so cute, and I'm probably going to make a whole family of them. We have all this extra wood on the property this year from trees dying and having to be cut down and limbs falling off from different storms and whatnot. So I have a plethora of wood available at my disposal. Forgot to tell you, I used a little stone for his nose, and the mouth was already there. If your piece of wood doesn't have that little piece in the center, you could always just add that in with a pencil or a pen. And here it all looks so cute together.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really did enjoy our time together. Now, since you stayed to the end, I'm going to give you a sneak peek into one of next week's projects. My sister asked me to recreate this large tree on a smaller scale with these Dollar Tree trees. So make sure you pick some up and see how that goes for us next week. Until then, make it a great day and Happy Tuesday!